Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. This Labor Day, fire up the grill and enjoy quality meats and fresh local produce from Safeway. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and small businesses. Shop in-store or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Starting tomorrow, it should be easier for you to get a COVID vaccine. In Colorado, anyone 6 months and older will be able to get a shot at a local pharmacy without a prescription. Governor Jared Polis directed state health officials to make the change and smooth the way in response to federal changes. He says the goal is to make COVID vaccines as easy to access as flu shots. I'm Arlo Pérez Esquivel. Coming up, a challenge to the state limit on law enforcement cooperation with ICE, and an update on the deputy who may have violated the law.
That first lawsuit from the Attorney General's office didn't sit well with Mesa County officials, so they sued the Attorney General back.
Then, Texas and California are in a heated legal battle over redistricting. But what about Colorado?
They're in a gunfight, and you can't unilaterally disarm. I respect that logic. I just won't be an active part of it.
Plus, their sport isn't always the hardest thing for extreme athletes.
It's okay to talk about this stuff in a macho sport.
The film festival where you can join those conversations. It's Thursday, September 4th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Earlier this summer, a traffic stop gained a lot of attention. It involved a deputy who may have broken state law by helping immigration officials take a 19-year-old college student he had just pulled over into custody. And now we have an update for you about the status of the deputy and the state's lawsuit against him. CPR's Tom Hess is here. Tom, first, remind us a few of the basic facts of what happened.
Back in June, a college student from the University of Utah, Caroline Diaz-Goncalves, was driving through western Colorado and she got pulled over for following a semi-truck too closely. This was right near the state line. She got pulled over by a Mesa County Sheriff's deputy. He let her go with a warning, but while the traffic stop was happening, he alerted federal officials that she was here and that she was not born in the country. And this was through a signal chat that they use for other work. It's called the GJ Highway Hitters. And this doesn't square with state statute because there is a law on the books that limits what local law enforcement can share with federal law enforcement when it comes to immigration. And that prompted a lawsuit from the Attorney General's office against the deputy.
That was earlier this summer. Where are the players in this case now?
Well, that deputy, Alexander Zwink, has resigned from the sheriff's department. He had been placed on 3 weeks leave for violating that law. And when he resigned, he and his attorneys argued, I don't work at the sheriff's office anymore, so therefore this lawsuit is moot. Attorney General Phil Weiser actually agreed, dropped the lawsuit. The latest information about Diaz-Goncalves is that she was released from the ICE facility in Aurora after about 2 weeks of detention there, but still needs to find a way to get legal status in the country.
And meanwhile, another lawsuit was filed in this case. What is that one about?
Yeah, so that first lawsuit from the Attorney General's office against Deputy Zwink didn't sit well with Mesa County officials. So they sued the Attorney General back. Essentially, they alleged that the state law in question is unconstitutional, and generally that this was all just being used to target this one specific deputy. Here's Mesa County Commissioner Cody Davis.
The reason we're filing this federal lawsuit today, not to fan the flames, but to get clarity, to get constitutional clarity, because the law, as written, is vague, it's conflicting, and if left unchallenged, it puts every officer in Colorado at risk of being punished for doing what they've been trained to do, to work with, share information with fellow law enforcement.
Okay, so now Mesa County is suing the state, challenging the state's law against cooperation with ICE. And then just this week, the state dropped its suit against the deputy who tipped off ICE because he resigned. So does this mean that this whole thing is sort of backfiring on the Attorney General and his effort to limit ICE activity in Colorado?
Some of that remains to be seen. I mean, part of the stated reason for this suit against the deputy at all is to make more law enforcement in Colorado aware that this was a practice. At the same time, the Attorney General is looking into that Signal chat where all this started to see if anybody else was doing this. That work is still ongoing, but it has drawn more attention to this issue about local law enforcement sharing immigration information with federal officials.
CPR's Tom Hess, thank you.
Thank you.
We want to update you on another story we're following that also involves federal immigration authorities. Last week, ICE agents detained a Korean immigrant and professional violinist in Colorado Springs named John Shin. Shin, who's been living in the U.S. since before he was a teenager, is now waiting for word about his removal proceedings at the Geo Detention Facility in Aurora. We'll bring you more about his legal situation tomorrow. If you've been watching the fight over redistricting from Texas to California to now a bunch of other states, you might have wondered, what about Colorado? Well, don't expect our state to join the fray. Colorado voters changed the state constitution in 2018 to prevent the partisan manipulation that is being considered elsewhere.
The fact is, 70% of people voted in favor of this. And so it had really remarkable support.
This is Ken Thiry, who lives in Metro Denver and was behind the successful efforts in Colorado and California to create independent commissions to draw congressional lines and make it harder to politically gerrymander.
It is an important path to creating the kind of democracy we want to hand down to our kids and their kids.
CPR's Bente Birkeland interviewed Thiry to find out how he might react to the current effort to move towards more partisan political redistricting. She talked with Bozzy about what she learned.
Bente, can you tell us about Kent Thiry's investment in the effort to make democracy more competitive?
Thiry has been behind some very successful efforts to try to, as he sees it, strengthen democratic systems, especially by trying to bring more unaffiliated voters to the table. He says he knows there will be setbacks, but he's committed to this larger good government goal.
Keeping our democracy healthy is a full contact sport that takes very active engagement. It takes resources. It takes serious strategy.
He estimates he's spent about $20 million on these campaigns to moderate politics, and he feels improve democratic systems around the country. His ideas don't always land with voters, though. For instance, last year, he tried to get Colorado to adopt ranked choice voting, but people pretty overwhelmingly here were not on board with that.
It is notable that Colorado currently has 4 Democrats in the U.S. House and 4 Republicans, despite all of our statewide offices being held by Democrats. The national parties consider Colorado a blue state. So if Democrats control our state government, why couldn't they make it easier for their party to hold the majority of the state's congressional seats?
Colorado's set up much differently, for instance, than a state like Texas, where the governor had the ability to call a special session and lawmakers redrew their congressional lines. As we mentioned above, in Colorado, the Constitution sets out criteria for drawing these lines. So Democrats don't have the power to do anything because independent commissions draw the lines. And to fundamentally change how this happens, voters would need to approve a new method. The earliest something like that could even get on the ballot before voters is 2026.
Is there any effort to do that?
Yes, there is. There's a proposed ballot initiative for 2026 that would ask voters to give the governor emergency powers to appoint a new commission to essentially draw more Democratic seats. But it's being proposed by political outsiders. And so far, we've seen no appetite from the highest levels of the state's Democratic Party, including Governor Polis, to undo the state's independent redistricting rules.
Is Thiry planning to get into the fray here? Does he see a way to counter President Trump's push for red states to gerrymander?
Thiry does not plan to get involved any efforts around that. In California, Democrats have called a special election this November to ask voters to pick new maps that favor Democrats, and also to put this temporary pause on California's Independent Redistricting Commission. Thiry helped set up that whole system in California, and he says he feels terrible about what's happening, but that he does understand why Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to pause the commission and push back on Trump.
I can respect what Newsom is doing, but I will not support it or work for it. I am not critical of those who have decided that right now they're in a gunfight and you can't unilaterally disarm. I respect that logic. I just won't be an active part of it.
He said anyone who treasures representative democracy and the fragility of representative democracy has to be just horrified at what's happening right now.
So he spent millions of dollars and years of work to expand independent redistricting around the country. Is that momentum dead now?
Thiry doesn't think the effort is dead. He thinks backers will absolutely persevere, and even this current moment might actually make voters more receptive to the idea.
Hopefully, a lot of Americans are going to say, hey, these are our elections, and we need to take them back.
Benta Birkeland, thanks for your reporting on this.
Thanks, Bazzi.
If you like movies and the great outdoors, you could be in for a treat this weekend. The Winter Park Film Festival is back, and it features stories from some pretty remarkable people accomplishing what so many Coloradans do, conquering challenges and fears in the outdoors.
I was skiing professionally, traveling the world, everything going great. In 2016, I had an injury that completely changed my life.
Austin Becker is one of the directors screening a film this year.
I broke several vertebrae in my neck and back and had to relearn how to do everything, walk, literally everything.
Then came the painkillers.
And story as old as time, I got hooked. I lost everything. I lost my sponsors. I became homeless, and my only will in life was to use drugs and alcohol.
Becker tells his story in a short-form documentary called Streets to Peaks. It's the kind of story not often emphasized in the extreme sports world, one about mental health and addiction recovery.
It's okay to talk about this stuff in a macho sport. We're trying to rewrite the script on that.
This year's programming also includes stories about a trans climber who transitioned after an accident, a skier combating fertility and identity issues, an extreme runner with an eating disorder, and many more. The lineup isn't all extreme sports, though.
I'm curious about who and how my food comes to me.
Chad Weber is the director of a film with a similar title, Peaks to Prairie.
Organic, regenerative, grass-fed, rotational grazing, what does all this stuff mean? And what's the right thing to do when you're at the grocery store or in your community?
He explores those questions in Boulder County, where there's an effort to use wood waste that comes from wildfires. Weber gave soil a long overdue starring role.
I wanted to get on the level of the soil and create a character out of the soil. And thematically, where my head was at was this connection of life beyond us as humans, but as all life on the same plane, working together.
And that's one role that a remake could never soil. You can see the films, meet the filmmakers, and explore other special events at the Winter Park Film Festival, starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. Many thanks to Lauren Antonoff Hart for the story. She writes the weekly Colorado Art Spotlight, where you can find more things to do this weekend. Thank you for listening to today's show. Don't forget to tell a friend about us and to make sure that you are following Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. This Labor Day, fire up the grill and enjoy quality meats and fresh local produce from Safeway. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and small businesses. Shop in-store or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.